First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Tonight, Gainesville's Grace Marketplace looks toward a future of providing the homeless much more than meals and beds. That's our top story tonight. I'm Adriana Idisa.
And I'm Alexandra Rivera. WUFT's Emily Braun sat in on a planning session today and joins us now from the newsroom.
The new shelter has lined up at least $40,000 to expand its bed space, but the hope is to soon start investing in other services, teaching life skills and job skills to help people return, if possible, to living on their own. The E in Grace Marketplace stands for empowerment, but right now the main empowerment is only for the 20 residents with access to beds. For about 300 others, home is just outside the gates, where they sleep in tents. But a space inside Grace isn't the only thing these people are hoping for.
I think their focus is not really on transitioning people into a comfortable environment so they can get themselves together to go out and try to find jobs.
People who want to move into Grace Marketplace but can't right now have started pitching tents right here in their own community they like to call Occupy Gainesville. Only one dorm in Grace Marketplace is open for use. A new dorm is almost finished and will more than double capacity. But this space excludes families and requires clients to be looking for work or have a medical exemption. Local leaders met today to talk about the next investments and how to boost empowerment in terms of getting people back to work and on their own.
The whole job training, life skill training component is clearly something that will benefit the center, and we have to see how that will fit into the existing services that are being provided out there.
For now, the people outside of Grace get by. Except for inside beds, they get the same resources the residents have: 3 meals a day and some access to employment workshops. The people camping outside Grace Marketplace know it's a work in progress. The ones I spoke to today told me they are thankful for the effort and what they have now. Emily Braun, WUFT News.
Thanks, Emily. The U.S. Department of Agriculture plans to spend $30 million next year to search for better treatment and prevention of citrus greening. The USDA says it will fund 22 projects to combat the disease. The projects will focus on areas like soil and pest control, and one project involves training dogs to sniff out infected trees. The greening has spread throughout Florida since 2005, and production losses alone have often been greater than $400 million a year. Florida grows a lot of things, just not nearly enough roses for Valentine's Day. 80% of those come from South America, though of course there are Florida people who are links in the supply chain. WUFT's Gabrielle Peterson introduces us to 2 specialists who work the Gainesville market, making it possible for you to splurge by buying your sweetie a traditional gift of flowers.
It's the busiest time of the year for James Stacy, a sales representative for Flower Central. Stacy drives his truck around the state to deliver to local florists. Right now, he's working his longest days.
I leave at 5 o'clock in the morning.
17 hours later, his day is done.
I get home about 10:30 after loading up my truck, again with fresh flowers and for the next day.
But the journey for your roses doesn't start there. The flowers at the plant shop are flown from South America. The plane usually flies back with merchandise, but not when the demand for flowers is this high.
There's not enough merchandise to ship back to the other countries, and so the plane gets flown back empty.
And florists still pay for the empty plane.
We're essentially paying twice the amount of freight that we normally would.
To compensate for the extra costs, the price rises. A single long stem rose like this, wrapped with some ribbon and greenery, will cost you around $3 any other day. But around Valentine's Day, this rose will cost up to $5 at your local florist. Despite the price, phones at the plant shop are ringing off the hook.
Thanks for calling the plant shop florist. How can we help you?
There are cheaper options than a dozen roses. A single flower, chocolates, balloons, or something unique.
You get something that's custom made for you.
Local artistry for a happy Valentine's Day, courtesy of a 2,000-mile supply chain and unseen helpers like James Stacy.
Enjoy it. It's part of me. I love it.
Gabrielle Peterson, WUFT News.
Valentine's Day is this Saturday, and because it falls on a weekend, florists are working even more hours to take care of weekday and weekend deliveries. North Central Florida has had some nice weather today, but cooler temperatures could be headed our way.
UF forecaster Peter Gay Shearwood joins us from the WRUF Weather Center. Peter Gay, when should we expect to bring out our coats again?
Well, that frontal system is on its way to north central Florida. You can definitely see here it is on Thursday around 3 o'clock. Ahead of that front, I mean, we're looking at 70-degree weather, but as soon as that frontal system passes through, we are going to feel nearly 40 degrees colder than we were Thursday afternoon at around 30 degrees in Gainesville for Friday morning. So, I mean, that would be a good time to bring out the coats Thursday evening into Friday morning. But for tonight, it is going to be another calm and mild night across north central Florida. Our temperatures are not going to drop as cold as it is going to in the next coming days, but you can definitely see that we will get 40 degrees for that 4 o'clock. Coming up on my main weather forecast, I'll let you know how cold we are going to get in the next coming days.
Thank you, Peter Gay. Two doctors who examined John Chuck told a judge that today John Chuck is incompetent to stand trial. John Chuck is the Florida man accused of killing his 5-year-old girl by throwing her off the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. Another expert will weigh in later this month. The court may have him sent to a mental hospital facility for 6 months and then reevaluated. Meanwhile, a DCF report says hotline operators failed to refer the case for action despite 2 warning calls in the days before the tragedy. Rage over a parking dispute is among the possible motives behind a triple murder near the University of North Carolina. 3 college students were shot to death at their condo yesterday. Police say they're hearing about a long-running dispute between neighbors about parking, but investigators are not ruling out the possibility of it being a hate crime. The accused gunman, 46-year-old Craig Stephen Hicks, turned himself in to face 3 counts of first-degree murder. Having a bone marrow transplant can be life-saving, but many are put on a waiting list just to get the procedure. Today, UF students were given the opportunity to help shorten the list by becoming potential donors. Sharing America's Marrow, or SAM, was at the Plaza of Americas today asking students to register as bone marrow donors. Students filled out a consent form and then were swabbed for their DNA for the donor registry before receiving a donor card. SAM's goal is to register at least 50,000 people who are of good health to create more potential matches for patients.
So college-age people between 18 and 26, they have the best bone marrow, and patients respond the best to transplants from that age group.
Sam Kimura co-founded the group after she was diagnosed with aplastic anemia in 2010 and needed a bone marrow transplant. This year, Sam, her sister, and her best friend are traveling to colleges in all 50 states to register donors.
Building a sidewalk may seem like a simple chore, but at one spot in Alachua County, the process has turned into a long and winding road. As WUFT's James Torres reports, people who live near Meadowbrook Golf Course are hoping the end of construction will soon be in sight.
Construction is underway again on the multi-use sidewalk on Northwest 98th Street. In 2013, Alachua County targeted the mile stretch near Meadowbrook Golf Course for improved pedestrian and bicyclist safety.
I'm comfortable with the crew that we do have at this time. They are capable of doing the work within the timelines that they're given.
But there is at least one man who isn't impressed with the quality of the work. Terry Martinbach showed me an area of the sidewalk where an incomplete segment is causing erosion. He says finishing it would have triggered the cost of planting sod nearby. Martinbach is a contractor, but he's speaking just as a concerned citizen.
If I create a problem within a house that it could possibly harm someone, I have to correct it. The county makes sure during the building inspection that I follow a certain standards. There are no standards on this sidewalk.
Martinbach says neighbors are complaining about how long it's taking.
Now the golf course says that workers have taken over 600 feet of their property, including a fence that's no longer here. They're looking for a solution. The grass area will eventually become a sidewalk that pedestrians will be able to both walk and bike. But that's going to be up to the guys at Alachua County Public Works Department to make sure that happens.
Public Works says the cause for the delay was due to rainy and cold weather, but Martinbach isn't buying it.
As long as it's above freezing, and if you think it's going to freeze, there's additives you can put in there so it will cure even below freezing.
Another reason for the delay has to do with the county priorities with finishing a project in High Springs. 98th Street is now several months behind schedule with no official target date for completion. James Torres, WUFT News.
The county is trying to get the work done for about $400,000.
There's more to come on WFT First at 5. After more than 15 years, Jon Stewart has decided to step down as the host of The Daily Show. We'll have more on his decision coming up.
And after the break, some fitness companies may be sending apps your way to help you stay in shape. Stay with us.